And Debbie Link chimes in and says maybe Forspoken would have done better if it was on Xbox too. Forspoken would have done better if it was on Xbox. It would have also most likely it's been kept from Xbox because most likely their plan was to then wait a while and release it onto Game Pass. Like I think that's essentially one of the biggest things is Sony is so concerned with Game Pass as a competitor.
Games on Xbox have been locked to like just their highest gen. The other thing is Xbox has been really about like how many gens of our console will it run on, and like Forspoken only runs on machines from like 2040. So I just am not sure that Xbox was like, will my Xbox Series S, would it even run Forspoken?
Yeah, you would run Forspoken. It wouldn't probably do it at 4K, you know.
Well, it can't do anything at 4K.
Right, like so I think it'd run just fine because again, you're just optimizing for that one platform and not for every potential. Here's the list of giant graphics cards, etc., that you're trying to run. Because like even on a 3080, like me running Forspoken in ultra wide ran great, but I couldn't run it in ultra wide at the 1440p. Which is
you don't want the week one of Cyberpunk over again. You don't want people having issues.
Yeah.
So like there is an advantage to a game that is that like invested in its fidelity, having as few places to bug test as possible. That's a little bit different. Mm-hmm. But that was always going to be weird. Like there's always those kind of like generational games as far as like graphics go, and they always end up being really isolated. Who gets to take part in those?
Now, Pride Izzy writes, Xbox isn't selling well from what I read. It's not even at 5 million total sales, while Switch and PS5 are both over 50 million. Switch is actually coming up on 120 million units, and people keep speculating about the Switch too. And I'm like, I don't know. I think they're just kind of letting seeing what kind of technology jumps happen to the next year before they worry about pushing that out. And the Switch in and of itself is still not like, insane hardware, but it's great.
I used to be really frustrated that they wouldn't like put out hardware and then put out like a pro version. But when they tried to jump from the Wii to the Wii U, like it took such a big jump that it like the Wii U was like, oh, it's going to do everything the Wii does and so much more. Yeah, except not. So like I get super concerned about like a true Switch Pro because I just can't help but think that like somebody at Nintendo is going to be like, yeah, but now you throw it. And it's like, why? Why? For what reason? Like you couldn't just make better caliber controllers and upscale everything to 4K and make a version that like doesn't come off the dock so that it's nice and powerful. Like you can't just, they just always have to, you're like, man, this hamburger's so good. It'd be good if we like added like cheese or bacon or like veggies next time. And you're like, yeah. Or we had you catch a live chicken. Nintendo, what is wrong with you?
Come on, Nintendo.
Like, why do you always have to make it weird? You just take it so far.
So in terms of this
generation,
I think Xbox, the Series systems have actually sold pretty well. The Series S, I know, has done actually like pretty well historically for Japan, especially because of its form factor and size. But the thing is, what's interesting here, kind of bring this back to the SEC and that whole discussion, is there's two fronts. Microsoft is presenting their worst numbers to all of the different entities, showcasing that PlayStation has 80-90% of market share, et cetera. But internally, and then also at the same time, not to the SEC and all the bodies, they represent their view isn't just the console, but also the ecosystem. So if you run Windows, guess what? You're on an Xbox. Like that in and of itself is how they think of the global ecosystem, in which that's why when they release a game, they also release it same day and date, cross-play, cross-save on PC as well. And their platform, the real shift here in my mind, everything I've seen them do, it's really kind of, you see these generational mindsets. Microsoft thinks of Game Pass as actually their platform. Their platform is Game Pass. They have a hardware console, they have PC, they have all of these ways that you can interact with Game Pass, but their platform is Game Pass, where Sony's platform is the PS5. And so there is a differential shift in that. Now, they don't want to go to the SEC and present that, because I would theorize that, if anything else, the best thing in all cases is just bring Game Pass to PlayStation. And the only thing that prevents that is Sony's browser. Being that you can play Game Pass in a browser, Sony would just need to enable that site. Microsoft does that did it with Stadia, does it with GeForce Now. Like you can just play whatever cloud games on an Xbox. They're not restrictive of that, but PlayStation is. They're like, no. We're still more protective of the ecosystem. So you really, you got choices when it comes down to it. In terms of sales, though, like I think Microsoft wants to present the smallest numbers to the governing bodies just for
Obviously.
that same. Yeah. And Steam Deck too coming in, like when we're talking about Nintendo, hands down.
Why would you? Yes, it makes 100% sense to do it that way. Like if people's concerned, like if Brian and I are entering a weight loss challenge, then I want to put on all the weight I can before it starts. Right?
Exactly.
Like that's just playing the game. And Sony's doing it the exact same way. They're going, but Microsoft's so much bigger than us. Look at their biggest number compared to our smallest number. Like they're 100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. And it's some
Meanwhile,
of the most
then they turn
entertaining
around
stuff.
to go to like some bank and secure a loan, and they're like, "Look at our maximum number."
Yeah, look how big. Look at these trillions of dollars.
Of course.
Meanwhile,
and if you do that to a certain